Hey class, I had a couple students email me regarding a question on the MindTap Chapter 4 homework assignment where they presented a question in similar nature to what you see here, and the task to finish was calculating the distance between two different observations. And as you can see, we're presented with a chart and different observation numbers taken from a dendrogram, and each observation has 8 different variables. In this case, the data shown does not represent anything specific. As I noted, it's all hypothetical, and it's simply for instructional purposes only. Now, the MindTap Chapter 4 homework assignment does give you a more specific example. So if you haven't started that assignment yet, you will get a more detailed scenario to relate with what we're doing. I attached or provided a snippet from the textbook which describes Euclidean distance, and the textbook states that it is the most common method to measure dissimilarity between observations. So the difference between the observations is what we're trying to get at. Let observations U, U1, U2, and so on, and V, V1, V2, and so on, each comprise measurements of Q variables. When they say Q variables, in this case, it would be observations 1 through 8. Observation variables, rather. Instead, I misspoke. Sorry about that. And we have our formula, which is U1 minus V1 squared plus U2 minus V2 squared, and so on, and then you take the square root. So what's happening here is if we are trying to calculate the distance from observation 7 and 2, we would start at the first variable, which is 0.052, and per our formula we would go 0.052 minus negative 0.61 squared plus 0.761 minus 0.227 squared, and we would iterate through the entire array of data until we reach the end, and that would give us, our answer. We would then take that in square root, and that would give us the distance. But there is a much quicker way to calculate these values through Excel. And to do so, to get started, let's go to the Formulas tab on the ribbon, and I'm going to click on Insert Function, and I'm interested in a particular sum function. So I'm going to type sum and click Go, and the formula that we are particularly interested in is the sum xmy2. And the description states that it sums the squares of the differences in two corresponding ranges or arrays. The sums the squares, so notice how each pair of variable values is being squared. So this is the one that we need. I'm going to click OK, and for array X, we are interested in observation 7, so this would be our first array. And for array Y, observation 2, so I'm going to click and drag over that. And as you can see, we have everything populated correctly. I'm going to click OK, and the value that we are presented with is not the correct, this is not the distance from observation 7 and 2. What we are missing is the square root, so I'm going to click back into this particular value, and after the equal sign, I'm going to type Ch04, and notice how it already has it suggested. I'm going to press tab because it's what I want to use, and then I'm going to close it out with a ending parenthesis and press enter, and this is the correct answer that we're looking for. This would be the distance from observation 7 and 2. Now, if this I think most of you, if not all of you, would find that this method is much more efficient and quicker than doing it by hand, because with anything, being a human, we oftentimes can make small mistakes, especially with when we're working with data. In this case, such specific values, even the smallest mistake can throw off the answer. So by using Excel, we are, as long as our data is correct and as long as our calculation is correct, the returned value is what we're looking for. And I will say, regarding the midterm, if you are presented with a question of this nature, you will be provided the data beforehand, so you will not have to waste your time typing out these numbers. You can just jump right in and get started with your calculations. Now, I will say, if you prefer to do it by hand, that is perfectly acceptable as well. There's, whatever works for you as a student, I'm perfectly fine with. I just find that if you can do these calculations through Excel, it's practical and efficient, and I have no problem with you using Excel. You just keep in mind, and more details will be discussed later before the midterm when it gets closer to time. You will be required to upload the Excel work that you complete post-exam completion. So just keep that in mind if you choose to if you plan to use Excel for these particular types of problems. And going forward, if you as a student in particular would like to see if it's possible to do a certain task through Excel, I will gladly make a video covering that if it's applicable. So definitely reach out to me via email. I hope this helps with this particular scenario. If you'd like to discuss in further detail what exactly is going on with this process, definitely send me an email, and I will gladly discuss this further with you. Thanks.